Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hello, friends.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yay. As
We're always
always,
so afraid of talking over each other. I feel
I
like
know.
I enjoy it.
Very
Just so many
polite.
hellos. Yes.
I appreciate it so much. As always, speaking of polite, I'm joined by my always polite and
Thank you.
also simultaneously sassy co-host, Kate Sitars. Hello,
A
Kate.
polite sassiness. Hello, hello.
A polite sassiness that you
like that.
emanate a
Yeah.
polite sassiness. Hello, Kate. And Kate and I have the pleasure today of being joined by Katherine Johnston, who is a CCA student and a star copywriter. And today we're going to dig into her story. She laughs, but it's true. It's true. Hello, Katherine.
Hi.
Entirely my pleasure.
If you didn't want to be hyped up, prepare for us to be your biggest hype woman.
I love that. Thank you.
She is the best human being on the planet, Katherine Johnston.
Love it.
Katherine, thank you for sitting down with us today. We really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm excited to be here.
Hey, so are we. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. What is your background, and how did you get interested and into copywriting?
So my background, like prior to copywriting, I was a hairstylist for like 11 years. Yeah, and did that all throughout COVID. So I feel like a lot of people, COVID was like a big pivot point for them, whether that was like within their existing career or to something new. And for me, it ended up being pivoting into something new, which is like copywriting is completely opposite to hairdressing. I don't see people every day. I don't have to have conversations for 10 hours a day working at home. Like it was completely different. But I ended up getting into that. I was always the one that was like doing social, or, hey, can you respond to this email for me? Can you, write our website? Da, 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 da. So I was always kind of doing copywriting, and I always like had dreamed of having a career as a writer, but I was like, I'm not going to like write a book, or not a blogger. So what are my options? And then I learned what copywriting was, and I thought it could be the perfect option. So then there was a few different courses that had come up, and then I came across CCA and I went for it in, I think, early 20, or no, must have been late 2020, because it was after COVID. So yeah, about late 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are.
Yay, yay. The rest is history, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, and if you don't remember, no problem. Do you remember what it was that made you decide to go with us? And if you don't remember, I will not be hurt. I promise. I'm just curious.
I think one of the biggest draws was the Facebook group.
Mm.
Because I think that was like a really good resource to be able to go back and forth. And to this day, I still think that's like one of the most valuable parts of CCA. But yeah, I liked the idea of being able to kind of like peer review things, because I can read a book, and just the way that I learn, it was really helpful to be able to go back and forth with other students and like participate in conversations and stuff. So that was a draw for me, and just the way that I learned in general. And it was really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you. And see how I snuck in a little bit of market research
Consumer
there?
research. Yeah,
right.
Like yeah.
I want to know. I've got you on the call. I might as well ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as you dug into copywriting, what was it like to be learning something new? Was there anything that surprised you?
It was definitely intimidating, because I hadn't learned anything like a whole encompassing subject,
Yeah.
something new since college, I guess, or maybe even like before that, and haven't really like dove into anything like that. So it was definitely intimidating, especially, the extent of my relationship with my laptop was like watching Netflix. And then all of a sudden I was like living on it and working on it. And that was an adjustment in itself, but it was really nice. I think one of the things that I found not necessarily like challenging or surprising, but it was hard trying to learn about something and differentiate being inspired by versus like copying something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking at so many ads and like what other people are doing. And you're like, is this an original idea? Or like, did I see this somewhere? And yeah, it was just interesting to realize how often you're going to be doing that. And then also a couple years on, learning that it's probably not an original idea. Like, and that's okay as long as it's like, you put your own spin on it. And most ideas have been had before. So, but if you're applying something for like the healthcare industry, but you're applying it to hospitality, like then it becomes completely new. So it's not the same thing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And I think that's
a really great point.
Even kind of like strategic that a lot of people, take inspiration from one thing and apply it to something completely new. And it is a fresh idea then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I found the line between copying and inspiration. But yeah, that was something interesting to learn, especially with all the students. We're all kind of working on the same specs and stuff. And you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then you're working on it, and you're like, okay, I liked that, but I want to have my own idea. So that was, I think, challenging and maybe a little bit surprising.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves too, even working with the same client year after year. You're like, what new take do I have on this? And then sometimes you realize people need to see, like, they haven't seen it as much as we have. So putting that
Right.
same message out there is actually, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think too, like sometimes even when I present new ideas to clients, they're like, yeah, but I really like this. I'm like, okay, that's what you like. Great. And that's what's working. Cool. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I liked your point too about the fact that something that you're doing in one industry can be completely fresh and new in a different industry. And maybe it is the wording, or maybe it's the approach, or maybe it's a different strategy or a different way of looking at something. That even just mixing things up in that way can create it's a type of originality. I don't know if we can actually even say that, but
Yeah.
mixing something creative. Yeah.
A hybrid.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Hybrid
Exactly.
idea.
Hybrid idea. So you dug in, you learned, you collaborated in the Facebook group, you honed your skills. Where did you take it from there?
I actually got super, super lucky. Like the day that I left my salon job, it's a very emotional day, just, wrapping up a huge chapter. But like the following day, I ended up like getting a job with an agency. They had an ad for a junior copywriter, and I was like, why not? And it just like worked out so seamlessly. And I'm like forever grateful for that opportunity because I think, like I said, it was like an emotional time coming off COVID and all that stuff. I could definitely see myself and be like, oh my God, I made a big mistake. Like, what do I do now? But for me, luckily, it was very seamless. And I was with them for about a year and a half. I think I was on staff for a year and then I switched to contracting with them for the next, or maybe it was about 2 years total. But yeah, so that was a really great opportunity for me to just kind of get practice working with like a senior writer and a team and designers and developers and just getting a really good all-encompassing experience, and getting paid to learn obviously is always nice. So it was almost like a little apprenticeship kind of,
Yeah.
just kind of working in practice. And yeah, it was great. I was very, very lucky. I'm still very grateful for that opportunity.
That's awesome. And good for you, because I think it can be easy to get in our own way, to see an opportunity and go, well, I don't know. Am I ready? Am I this? Do you remember? I mean, you said, well, why not? Let's go for it. But do you remember having any of those feelings around it? Or were you really like, I mean, not really, I believe you, but
Yeah, yeah.
how did you feel back
I
then?
remember I remember emailing them and being like, "Hey, I am like super new to this. I might be, out of my depth here a little, but I'm a fast learner and like I'm keen to join the team." And I think the transparency, I think they found that valuable, and they were like, "Cool. I mean, it is a junior position, so we don't expect you to be, amazing." So I was just honest, and I didn't want to oversell myself, but I didn't want to sell myself short either. It's
Hmm.
like I know the basics and I'm ready to learn and be a part of the team. And yeah, I worked. I
That's
got a call
great.
back. So
Yes, it worked. Did you have your portfolio together at that point or not yet?
Yes, like very basic, and it was all spec.
Oh yeah.
All my spec stuff that I was like so proud of. And looking back, I'm like, oh God, but it did the trick. So
Yeah, absolutely.
no
Well,
complaint.
I'm selfishly on behalf of everybody else out there. I'm glad to hear that because I think sometimes students think, well, oh, but it's all, yeah, I did the work, but it's all spec work. It's not going to count
Mhm.
until I have real clients in there. And I can say it, certainly Kate can say it, but I think it's helpful
Mhm.
to have other people say it as well that yes, spec work counts. It still
Yeah.
demonstrates your skill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had like the cover girl project in there, the car,
Mm.
the car one, and the Cheetos one.
I love it.
And I think I remember the headline was Cheetos till Degritos, and I'm still very proud of that. I still think it's really funny. Still one of my favorites.
I
That's
love it.
Isn't that great? The same thing for me. There are a couple of lines that I look back on, like, and I
Mhm.
probably wrote these like at least 10, maybe even 15 years ago, but I still think,
Mhm.
and it's again, to everyone, copywriting is not just about being clever. You could
Yeah.
go your entire career without having to write a clever line. But
Mhm.
personally, secretly, I have, we all have our favorite lines, right? I love
Do you
Yeah.
have
When you
one?
nail it, you're like, that
You're
was
like,
good.
Yeah.
like, I'm a genius. Yes.
My
Yeah.
line, like you, it's can swoon for Cancun. It was for vacation rentals in
Oh,
Cancun.
love.
And I was like, yes, I still love it.
That's
Yeah. No, I like
adorable.
the vibe of that. It makes me
Right?
feel like I'm ready for Cancun. No, it's
Yeah.
good. Very
Yes.
Okay.
effective.
Yeah. Okay, I have to share
Yeah,
mine
you have to
then.
share yours. Yeah.
Mine is
Yeah.
so it was for a housing development
Oh,
on
that's my favorite of yours
on a
too.
nature preserve. Yes, it was like there's a cranberry bog back behind there, and the line is I have to get it right. The line is the only loons in your old neighborhood were the Wilsons. Like the loon, the bird, crazy
Yeah.
neighbors.
No,
Yeah,
I like it.
I
Loons
love
are
that one.
beautiful birds too. So
They
they're
are.
very, yeah,
And
that's a good
fun to
one.
move away from the Wilsons. Yeah. The only loons in your old neighborhood were the Wilsons. Oh, I do still love
That's
that
so
one.
funny. No, I like that.
Yes. I love
I
that.
like the Wilsons.
Yeah. See, copywriting is not just about making money and freedom and fulfillment. It's also about sometimes writing lines that make you think to yourself that you are a little bit
A
of an
genius.
undiscovered genius. Yes.
Totally.
I love it.
Cheetos to Degritos is going to be in my
Oh,
head
it's
every
so
time I see
good.
a bag of
Cheetos,
Cheetos now.
Doritos. I love it.
Thank you.
And so how has your career progressed since then, since the agency?
So I admittedly, I am lazy and pitching, I find it,
Self-aware.
yes, self-aware. I just haven't found my rhythm with it. So I actually prefer to contract with different agencies.
Mm.
And I really like doing that because I get a fantastic variety of work. I get to collaborate with so many different kinds of people and more senior people and get to mentor newer people. And it's a good environment for me personally. I know that's like not the route for everyone, but it's worked really well for me so far. And so that's kind of the route that I have taken. I have had a couple smaller, like small business clients that I've worked with directly,
Mhm.
but I would say the majority are like agency collaborations.
Mhm. I love contracting. I know Kate's been
Mm-hmm.
a big fan of contracting too. Are you going into offices or are you still working remotely?
Never stepped foot in an office.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, I was going to say back in my day, it's still my day, but
Still
um,
you day.
You're not
yeah.
dead.
Yeah, I'm not dead yet. But when I was contracting, it was part of actually what I liked was going into different offices and meeting new
Mm-hmm.
people in different ways. Now, I don't entirely always miss a commute, but it was kind of
Yeah.
fun. To your point, you get the opportunity to meet new people and work on all kinds of different projects, and you're also kind of forced to do networking in
Yeah.
the most
Yes.
organic way possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think sometimes, obviously, it's a give and take. So you don't necessarily have as much flexibility. Like I do enjoy getting FaceTime with clients and getting direct feedback and being able to see metrics behind things. And that's something that you sometimes sacrifice if you're with an agency, but it is what it is. So that works
Absolutely.
for my personal kind of like business ethos. And I don't have a reason to change that yet.
Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah. And are you working on like how do your contracts look? Are they, 6 months for 20 hours a week or whatever?
so it depends. It's kind of like a funny setup with this specific client. It's a really interesting model. And so I'm kind of just contracting with them until one of us says she's not working anymore,
Mhm.
which is good. And it's just kind of, they'll be like, hey, we need you for this. Cool, jump on that. And each client, I kind of dedicate X amount of hours to every week. And I can either commit to that. And I was with one of our clients for a year on one of those. And then, some I might jump onto a project for like 2 weeks. And then I have had other clients where they're a bigger chunk of time, like, hey, 30 hours a week for a couple months. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think that's a good thing. Don't want to have my eggs
Variety.
in one basket. Yeah.
Yeah. What kinds of industries and projects, like what are you don't have to share exact, obviously clients, but like email, digital, or they're out of home, like what's going on?
You're like
So
everything.
many. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Like
what
we
that
worked
handshake was.
on media plans, script writing, organic social, paid social, email direct, activations, which was an interesting one that kind of is like copywriting adjacent. But I remember when the agency was like, all right, we have to come out with activations. I was like, sure, no problem. And I was like, what is an activation? Because I had no idea. And it was, for anyone listening, I guess, that doesn't know, it's just kind of the big brand campaigns that you might see. It's something like really memorable. It might be in person. So for this particular one, it was kind of coming off of the Olympics. So we were trying to come up with like some fun ideas. And this company also partners with a very famous NFL player. So a couple of our ideas were trying to work together with their NFL partner and then also like a couple Olympians to try to, I don't want to go too much into it, but so that was like a fun idea to try to come up with like these really big, fun advertising campaigns.
Mhm.
So all different stuff like that. And then in terms of industry, I've worked with like, small solopreneur health coaches, luxury luggage, e-com, health supplements, wellness, finance, like, so a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So
Very
fun.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
One thing I want to make sure that people know about contracting too is that when you are working with all of these different kinds of companies and when you're staying with them for sometimes a short project, but often a couple of months, maybe it's even longer than that, you get the opportunity to develop relationships with the people who are working at that company, which is amazing because as the people at that company go to other companies and then at that other company they go, oh, we need a copywriter. Does anybody know a copywriter? That person who used to work with you back over here will say, oh my gosh, we have I do know someone. We should give Katherine a call because she's fantastic. Yeah. Has anything happened to you? Has that started to happen yet, or is that still coming for you? Hey there, it's Nikki. I wanted to take a very quick minute to make sure that you knew about our free on-demand copywriting training. Now, whether you are brand new to copywriting or you've been doing it for a while, but you just can't seem to hit those income goals, this training is for you. You are going to learn the 3 secrets to landing freelance copywriting work without relying on frustrating job bidding sites like Upwork or Fiverr, or without cold calling strangers. And if you've watched any of the student success stories on this channel, and if you haven't yet, check them out. This is the exact same training that they all started with. And I mean students like Kate K, who is making 6 figures working part-time and retired her husband to help her build her business. Students like Stuart, who replaced his full-time salary, which was a good one, with his freelance income and then some. Stacy, who hit 6 figures in her first 6 months as a freelance copywriter, and Ashley, who landed the in-house copywriting job of her dreams. They all started with this free training, and you can start with this free training too. So sign up right now at freecopywritingtraining.com.
That's still coming. Thankfully, I have mostly had quite long-term relationships with most of my contracts, which has been great. And I guess colleagues, most of my colleagues are still there. So I actually really haven't had too much branching out yet, but I keep in touch with anyone that has, left. We keep in touch, and I'm looking out for them. They'll look out for me. So that will come at some point, I'm sure.
It will, and it's going to be great. It's the best thing when you're like, oh, I have this email from someone I haven't been actually working with for like 3 years, 5 years. I'm like, hey, I have this big, long, very lucrative project. Are you interested? Like, oh, it's the best. It's the best. Yeah. Yeah. As you are looking at your copy career, what you have developed over the past couple of years, what advice do you have for someone who is either thinking about getting into it or maybe just getting started?
I think something that's really important is to just like maximize all of your resources. And we talked about this in the beginning, but that Facebook group, I think it's such an invaluable resource. And also there's tons of free stuff online. Like I am a huge Reddit fan. I'm like so into Reddit. I use it for market research for clients, seeing what people are talking about. And it's like any question that you ask, Reddit has the answer. No, that said, take some stuff with a grain of salt, of course, but there are just so many, resources out there. So if you're not feeling confident, like if you're, oh, I don't know if this is for me, like use your resources. There's probably someone that's felt the same way, has the same obstacles as you, and maybe they have a good way to overcome it. But yeah, I think support is important, especially if you're someone like me, when you are in such a social environment, going to just working by yourself, and you're like, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is bad. I don't know if I'm on the right track. Like you need that kind of support and camaraderie, I think, from people, even if it's like strangers on the internet. That's okay. That still counts.
Well, and it's strangers on the internet
until they're not.
I was just about to say they so quickly become colleagues and friends and all of that kind of thing. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's great advice.
Yeah. What advice do you have? I guess too, it'd be obviously having support is wonderful, but when you're working, do you ever go to a co-working space? Do you consider yourself an extrovert or?
Oh, no. No. But I will say, so I used to live in New Zealand. My partner was from New Zealand. And when we moved back to the US, I came about a month before. So I was working at home in our apartment, like by myself. And I found myself to be not very productive. But then as soon as he got there, even though, he's around the house doing whatever, I found myself to be a lot more productive with another person in the house, which I then learned is something called like body mirroring or something, where you're just more productive if there are other bodies around. So I like to go to co-working spaces. I don't like socialize, but it's just nice having other people there. And I don't know, it feels like motivating and it keeps me on task a lot more than if I'm just like sitting somewhere by myself. Even in a library, like I feel like libraries are the best hack. Like quiet, good Wi-Fi, there's always somewhere to sit. That, and if you travel a lot, hotel lobbies, I have recently cracked that code. They're always gorgeous, good Wi-Fi, and as long as you got like a coffee or something, they don't care how long you sit there.
Snacks.
And champagne at the end of the day.
Yeah. We're in the middle of the day.
Exactly. No judgment.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. We're also big hotel lobby fans. Like, and sometimes people are like, well, I am not staying there. People, it's going to be so weird. Like,
you know how many hotels I've been to that I haven't stayed at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody at the front desk is getting paid enough to be like, excuse me, can you, especially if you're being quiet
Yeah.
and you're being polite and smiling at people, they would rather have you there and be polite and charming than try to get rid of you. Yeah.
Yes. And they're not going to remember every single face.
Oh,
Like,
No.
maybe you're staying there for a night. They don't know. They just
Yeah.
popped in 2 hours ago. They don't care.
yeah. They don't want to
feel like
run the
depending on
risk.
the hotel, it's a good vibe for them to see like, oh, wow, someone comes in, they're like, oh, people are using this space. Like, they don't care if you're staying.
Yes.
There's so many like fancy hotels I would never pay to stay at, but will I use their lobby? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And snacks.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
that hotels have over libraries is that
Yes.
access
True.
to snacks.
Snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good energy. But yeah, so those are my kind of go-to. Obviously it depends on the situation. If I'm traveling, hotels are good. If I'm at home, libraries. But yeah, I like to be in space with other people that are working as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But also hotels if you're at home too. That's
Yeah,
when
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. Kate, when you were living
That's what
closer
I
to
do.
Boston. Yeah.
That's in New York now too.
Mhm.
There's so many good New York hotels. I'm like,
Yes,
true,
really.
yeah.
I know.
So nice.
I kind of want to make a
many
bingo
good ones.
card of all of the hotels.
I can give you the
and, like,
Boston one I made.
Did you make a
I made
bingo
a Boston
card?
one. Yeah. I should
That's
share it with everyone, to
fun.
be honest. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll make a
What's
New
your
York one now
favorite?
too.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
left
Catherine,
before
where
I
are you
could-
located?
I'm currently in Morocco.
Oh, ooh, very exciting. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
we probably should
I'm
have
glad we
started with that
asked.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Morocco currently, but I'm from Boston.
Oh,
I'll share you the bingo
fabulous.
card then.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes,
That'd
Yeah,
be good.
for when you're back
The
to
last one I
visit.
remember was the Intercontinental, and they were delightful. They came over with a mini water bottle for me. They were like, "Do you want water?
that's
Here's the
very
Wi-Fi
nice.
code." Like, they were lovely. They didn't even ask if I was. They didn't care. They didn't-
Yeah, Intercon's a good one. That's nice.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
service.
Delightful. Yeah.
very
Love
good
that.
service. So plug for them for free. Gosh.
Yeah.
And now how long are you in Morocco for?
Yeah.
I've been here. I arrived in January. I was just home for a couple weeks, and I got back on May 1st. So I'll be here for the summer, and then TBD. Not sure.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was when you were working as a stylist, was like traveling like this part of the dream?
Yes, 100%. And being a hairstylist, you can do that anywhere, obviously. But to make good money, you need to really stay put and build a clientele. So it was kind of always this like nagging, like kind of like a sick tease. Like I could do this anywhere, but like, oh, I really can't because I need to
build up your base. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was another huge draw, and like after COVID and stuff. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. I need something. I want to be flexible. I want to be self-employed. So that was another huge draw. That was definitely, I'd say, probably the top reason why I ended up making the leap to copywriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
And
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are into astrology, but I'm a Sagittarius, and I feel like I'm very, very like to a T. I get bored very easily, like to explore. So it's just like in my blood, as corny as that sounds. And this has just been really like a godsend, and it's just afforded me like such freedom and flexibility. And it's just, has kind of been the dream. It's not perfect, obviously. There's many challenges, but that's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. What career is perfect and doesn't have challenges? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. None. I cannot imagine.
Do you have ideas for where you want to go after Morocco? Or are you still kind of like, let me just see how long this lasts?
I am also very much a person who's like, okay, this is great, but like, what's next? So I am very consciously trying to just be present and be here and enjoy where I am. So I haven't thought too much about that. I'm very proud of myself because it's a struggle, but I'm enjoying it. It feels good to be here. So as soon as it, stops feeling good, I'll move on.
Beautiful.
It's a big country. There's so much you can explore. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful country. very diverse. The landscapes are insane. Just everything's gorgeous. And the sunsets, I'm on the beach right now. And the western sunsets are
Are
just
you
so
in like
gorgeous. So
Esso area, that area, or
about 3 hours south.
just
Yeah.
daydreaming now?
Yeah. Every day is
Tell me
quite
more.
daydreamy. Yeah. There's a cafe here called Daydream, which quite aptly named, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's lovely. And there's actually quite a big, well, I guess ratio wise, it's a small village, but there's a pretty big like digital nomad community. So there's actually
Nice.
a lot of people that work remotely. And I actually met a young guy. He's from Casablanca and he's a copywriter.
No kidding.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
so we met up and worked together yesterday. So that was nice. And it's funny because usually if I say I'm a copywriter, people are like, oh, what's that? I'm like, oh, ad and marketing writing. And the one time I said I didn't say that I'm a copywriter, I was like, oh, I do like, advertising, creative. And he's like, oh, like copywriting. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, me too.
Isn't that
So
funny
that
how
was
that
funny. I was
happened?
like, of
Oh my
course.
gosh. Yeah.
Just
You're like,
the one
okay,
time I
yeah.
don't. Yeah.
I do know what it's called. I promise. I just thought you wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's nice. There's a lot of good co-working spaces here and stuff. So it was a happy accident because I didn't really know that that was the kind of community that was here, but yeah, kind of fell into it and it's been lovely.
Amazing.
Love it.
Beautiful
Yeah.
serendipity. I love it.
Yes, very much.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm curious too. Not I could keep talking about Morocco forever, but it's going to turn into a travel podcast. You said it was hard to leave your stylist job. So I'm just wondering, obviously you had all of these goals where this aligned more appropriately, I guess, with what you wanted to do. But how did you work through that, I guess, to say, okay, I assume you still loved being a stylist, but it was like, this is now
Yeah.
more important. I think there are a lot of people I feel like in that similar situation of just like, I love what I do, but I need to leave it. And I think that's a hard,
Yeah,
a
it
hard
was
thing to do.
hard. At the time, I was living in New Zealand, and if you're a salon owner there, great, but stylists don't make as much money as they do in the US. New Zealand's very, very expensive. And with COVID, like my mental health was just like in like a steep decline. And when people came back from lockdown, they just weren't, it's like they forgot how to act in public. And I was like, I'm offering you a luxury service. I'm not a doctor. Like, you need to remember that this is something extra. This isn't life or death here. This is something, I'm not doing you a favor, of course, but it was like, this is something nice. Like, this is something that people are lucky, to be able to do. And I just, wasn't being treated the best. And, in retrospect, I'm sure a little bit of that was true, but I think I was probably just not in the best mental space anyway. But there just came a time when I was like, I have been doing this for so long. I think I've maxed out not my potential, but right now I don't feel like I'm getting what I want to out of this. It's no longer a positive experience for me. So it's not worth the stress. Let me try something different. And at the time, I was very lucky. My partner was very supportive. He was like, you can quit your job. I got you. Don't worry. But luckily, we didn't really need that safety net because it just progressed very seamlessly for me. And that's another reason, like, I'm just very grateful for that whole transition period being so graceful and good for me. But yeah, I had to, it was kind of like a self-preservation thing. And I knew it would kind of lead to better things down the road. But at that time, it was just like, this is just a good kind of tidy little bow. And I do miss it a lot because it is very creative. And I met some of my best friends in that industry that I'm still very close to this day. So it was a very emotional decision, but I don't regret it at all.
That's awesome.
If that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
perfectly.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's personal for everyone. So I think the more people can hear just the ways people go about navigating it, it's just helpful because there's no right or wrong, just following what makes sense for you in the moment.
And I remember the kind of early, if I remember correctly, the early like CCA may have like discussed imposter syndrome. And I just remember there came a part in the course where it was like, you know, you need to tell everyone you're doing this. And I was like, I don't want to. So I was like, I'm not a copywriter yet. I just was like studying it. Like I am a hairstylist, like to my core. So that was actually, I feel like that's probably what people feel like when they get like engaged or married. They're like, oh, I have to start saying fiance or whatever. I'm like, for so long, I was still like, oh, I'm a hairstylist. And I was like, oh, no, you're not. You're a copywriter. You have to tell people that. So that was kind of challenging. But I remember that in the course where it was like, you have to like tell your network, just do it. And it was very positively received, which was good. But I remember being very intimidated, like, oh, I feel so silly. But
everyone,
funny,
thank you
though?
for sharing that, because that's a universal.
Everyone does feel that way.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I think there's something wrapped up in the idea of like, I really, really want this. And so there's something about that really, really wanting it that I think makes it a little bit more, if not scary, a little bit more uncomfortable to tell people. It's like sharing your wish, you know, like this is what I secretly want. And this is what I secretly believe is possible for me. But it matters so much to me that I'm afraid to share it with the world. You know, isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's
and I'm
also
definitely someone, go ahead.
No, you.
Oh, I feel like I am also someone who, like we discussed, is always thinking about like the next thing.
Yeah.
So I'm someone who has a lot of ideas and I get really passionate about it. And then I'm like, and then I just kind of like forget. So that was also a part of it, was like, I want to stick to this, but I'm nervous if I like say it out loud, then it'll just be like one of my, you know, passions that, you know, I don't stick to, whether it's building a piece of furniture or just having like an idea like, oh, I'm going to paint this wall and it's like halfway done. But I was like, okay, I don't want to look silly. I want to make sure that like I'm committing to it. So that was kind of another, maybe that's just like a personal apprehension, but I think there's maybe a small demographic that can relate to that.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little bit part of it too.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate to that. How did you get yourself to follow through?
I remember it was really important to me to get my website like looking nice and like legit. And like the first iteration, it was fine. Like I've, you know, done a lot of work on it now. I'm much more proud of where it is now. But at the time I was like, very important for me to like at least have some work, make sure it looks nice. I want my website to be indicative of me. I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to be something I'm not. I want it to be authentic. So once I kind of got that, I was like, I'm just going to post it and that'll be it. That'll be me putting myself out there, which was very challenging for me. I'm not usually like a very vulnerable person. So that was like, kind of like press post with your eyes closed. But that was my first kind of like foray into coming out as a copywriter, more or less.
That's awesome.
I'm curious too, if there was a piece, you know, being a stylist for so long that, and I think this with teachers in our group and just anyone who's making a bigger shift, that there, do you feel like there was any of it of like, oh, I feel like I'm, not that our worth is tied to what we do, but I do think it's a big piece of our identities. And so almost like I have to at least either make space for both, or temporarily like, I'm not a hairstylist right now and that's okay. But there's almost like a goodbye to it that can feel. Yeah,
100%. Because, you know, I did it for a long time. So I was quite established. I, you know, don't want to sound one way or another, but, you know, I was good at it. And I definitely tied a lot of my identity to it. And it felt like, what am I doing? Like, I'm good at this. Why am I going to do something? What if I'm not good at that? And I'd worked really hard for it. And I was really proud of myself with like the career that I built. And so it was a big, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was like an identity crisis, but it was definitely, it felt like letting go, end of an era, just a big change to be made, but it was necessary. And it's always something that I can go back to. And my mom will always ask me for haircuts whenever I'm home.
Clients probably really miss you. I'm thinking of my hairstylist.
Yes.
If she ever left, I would cry.
Yeah.
Yes, I was staying at one of my friends when I was home a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, so and so, still asks about you." And I'm like, and he's like, "I don't know what to tell them." I'm like, "I play with stray dogs and I watch Bravo all day. It's not that different." Like, I'm sorry, it's not like my life's not that interesting, but yeah,
no, you're just staying in Morocco for a year. That's so boring.
But I still have a TV and I still watch all of my reality shows. So
Wow.
I love it.
Some things are just transcendent.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of clients that like I do still really love, and I'm interested to see what they're up to. And so yeah, there was a lot of relationships that I had to leave behind, but that experience I think has served me really well in this new path, just because it's almost like each client is a mini business and you have to treat them all differently. You have to know exactly how to talk to them. You have to consider their budget. It's definitely very like psychological. Some of the, tips and tricks, which I won't divulge in public, but, some of those things you can kind of use in all different facets of life. So that is almost like a mini target audience, a mini brand voice in every single client, and being able to apply that in copywriting has been really valuable. So people think like, oh, like being a hairstylist and copywriter, that has like nothing to do with each other at all. That's so weird. But there's actually like a really, really big overlap, which
absolutely. Hairstylists, bartenders, teachers, people who are hearing, who are whether you want to get it or not, you're getting what's going on in people's lives, and you're getting into their psychology, and you're hearing their wants and their needs and their fears. And yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
And, there is a big difference from one client that's like double income, no kids, to maybe a single mom or dad with 3 children, and how you speak to them and what kind of hair schedule. You're not going to give like a single mother something that you have to come in every 4 weeks for, whereas, someone else may be able to commit to something. So it is very much about curating your plan for someone and thinking about how you're going to speak to them, what's important to them. So it really is not so different.
I agree. It makes a lot of sense.
Really helpful. Yeah.
Well, Katherine, this has been fantastic. So much fun and so valuable.
Good.
If someone's listening and they're like, "Ooh, I'm not a copywriter. I own a business, and I really would love to have Katherine write some copy for us," how can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
So my website is flyingcatcopy.com. Yeah, kind of a funny name. I
love it.
Dad came up with it, and he texts me like 8 times a day, I swear, just saying that name. But yeah, you can see all of my work and learn a little bit about me on my site. And yeah, easiest way to find me.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for sitting down with us. This was just fantastic, truly fantastic. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really nice to kind of come full circle, and it definitely it changed my life for sure. So I'm grateful to you guys for putting together such a great curriculum, and it's been super helpful. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. But you, of course, did all the work. No. Okay, well, with that, we will catch you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.